Alright, third time's a charm. I'm trying this again. I literally just got out of the theater from Fantastic Four, and every single time I try to drive and do this thing, while driving review, my phone says I've used up too much storage. I just deleted a bunch of stuff. Let's see if this works this time. I'm gonna try to review Fantastic Four in the time that it takes me to get home. Okay? So, first to start off, great movie, good movie, liked it a lot. I think it's probably the best Fantastic Four. I'm at a light. I need to make sure that I'm turning left. It's a good movie, a really good movie, but the whole viewing experience for me was crazy, an up and down emotional cycle. Now, nobody knows this. I love the Avatar movies. I have a special space in my heart for them because I just think they're great visually and very creative, right? I get into the movie theater, and then all of a sudden, right before the movie plays, oh shit. Exit. Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to smack you there. I'm down here now. So yeah. Before the movie plays, the trailer for Fire and Ash plays, and I didn't know that came out already. That's crazy. I was like hype as shit now for just the movie experience. And what was weird when I was going to see this movie, Fantastic Four, like waiting to go see it, I haven't been, for some reason I had like this excited feeling in my stomach. Something was like, I don't know, I was just really excited to see it. So then I saw it, and just Avatar happened to be before it, and it's coming out on December 19th. Crazy that it's like, I'm so excited for that movie. And then Fantastic Four was good. It was really good. Like it was an interesting start because the trailer for Avatar went like right into the movie, so it felt like there was no like pause. It just all of a sudden it was the opening scene of the movie, and I was like, okay, time to get in Fantastic Four mode. You know what I mean? This van's really slow. I'm going on my on-ramp onto the highway. It's a truck. I don't know if this is illegal or not, but I'm not on the highway. I'm just driving on a country road. So yeah. I'm here now. My phone died and ran out of storage. You can tell that time has passed because I'm shaved and in different clothing. Anyway, I'm gonna just count this as the spoiler portion for the review, because I just want to talk about the movie. So anyway, that Avatar trailer was fire, and I'm excited for that. Anyway, but Fantastic Four was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna get into spoiler territory here. They've been, spoiler warning, 1, 2, 3. So the Fantastic Four, they've been heroes for 4 years. They had their incident that turned them into the Fantastic Four, and they've had a lot of shenanigans, a lot of adventures that have been happening. And then boom, 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 Sue's pregnant, baby's on the way. One thing I will say is that I was nervous. To me, all the actors needed to like really prove themselves as each of these characters to me, because I don't know a ton about them. The only one I know at least a little bit about is Pedro Pascal, just because I feel like he's everywhere now. I don't hate that. I like the guy. He seems cool. But I didn't know a ton about the others. So I really needed proving, I don't know. I needed to feel comfortable and know that I like these people, and I did like them. I like their dynamic is really cool. I feel like they all have their own like connections to each other. Like obviously Sue and Reed are together, but their relationship is very believable. It's not perfect. They have things that they don't like about each other. And then like Johnny and Reed, I feel like Reed almost likes Johnny's like, his attitude and stuff. So that they have a couple cool back and forths, and obviously Ben and Johnny are always kind of joking around, good friends, and then obviously Johnny and Sue are brother and sister, so they have their own like little sibling jokey dynamic. And but you can really tell. One thing I did notice a lot that I was almost expecting was I was expecting their fall apart moment. You know what I mean? I was expecting something to happen where they go their separate ways and they don't work together anymore and they don't love it. Then they have their together moment when they come back together and realize that family, they need to stay together, is the true power. But that doesn't happen, which isn't a bad thing. It's refreshing because I was expecting it. So every single time they had an argument, I'm like, oh, here's the build up to their falling apart. But then they never did. They kind of just took a moment and you know, came back together because they know, you can tell these characters already know that they're stronger together, which is really refreshing. Because, like, you know, it would have been very formulaic if it wasn't, that wasn't the case. Another cool thing I liked, Galactus was cool. I feel like they cut some stuff out of this movie because I feel like there were whole scenes. I remember there was a scene in the trailer where Reed was talking to Sue about each of their powers, and I felt really guilty. And Sue was saying, like, oh, Ben's always been a rock and Johnny's always been Johnny. You know, the stuff they always think is, the stuff they have kind of has always been there, but now it's just more visible in terms of it now relates to their powers. That scene wasn't in the movie. I feel like they cut some stuff out. I feel like they definitely excluded some stuff. There were definitely some scenes where the cut was weird, where I feel like there was something that was supposed to be in between, but there wasn't. I don't know. It was a bit weird. But I one thing I will say as well is another spoiler. We're in the spoiler territory now. The whole point of the movie was that Galactus seems like fed up. He doesn't really want to eat planets anymore. He has like this insatiable hunger that he's just tired of. So he's looking for a replacement. And he deems that Franklin Richards, so the son, their kid that Reed and Sue have, will be his replacement. Like he'll spare Earth if he can just have Franklin. And this, you know, the four are like, nah, it's not happening. Blah blah blah. And then when they go back to Earth and they say, hey, listen, we couldn't defeat Galactus. Earthers they're like, oh, because they're like, oh, we couldn't defeat Galactus. His only condition was to let us live, was that we had to give up our son, and we just couldn't do that. And the whole Earth is like, oh, come on, we have families, you know, how could you be so selfish, blah, blah, blah. But then Sue has this really heartfelt moment where she like introduces her baby to the world. And I just feel like it's really nice because like the whole world kind of rallies together. I feel like what's happening now is there's a trend, at least from Superman as well. Superhero movies are being a lot more hopeful and they're trying to bring people together. Saw a good comment somewhere online that was saying, like, I think people, like producers and filmmakers, forgot that superheroes are supposed to save people and bring hope to people. They're supposed to be like the best of the best in terms of these people you look up to and these people you admire and these figures that you feel and that they empower you, right? You find someone, a hero, you find your hero that you gain something from, right? Like personally. And I feel like that's a trend that I feel like for these two movies especially has shown up, and I really like that about these movies. Yeah, it was just a good movie. The effects were good. One thing I will say, the effects were good for the most part. Sometimes it was a little wonky. Usually it is when they're like trying to have a real person. One thing I noticed, they have like a flying car, and whenever they were going in and out of their flying car, it looked a little bit weird because you could tell that it was like transitioning from like live action to CGI so that it could fly. And they were like gluing their faces onto like CGI things. It was a bit weird, but none of their powers looked weird. Sue's powers looked a little bit underwhelming at times. I wish they would try a different camera angle, because it was always like, especially in the trailers, you see it, it's always like, and she's like pushing something, and it's like kind of like if I can recreate the shot, it's like this, you know what I mean? It's always like this, like when she's looking off to the side, like, you know, pushing whatever, and her face is in the center of the camera, like she's framing the camera, and it's kind of like that's the only angle they ever used for her powers, because I guess they didn't want to show her like doing this off to the side, you know. Maybe it would look a little bit goofy, but I don't know. I just feel like it was kind of weird. And then Johnny, when you see him flying around, it looks fine, and his transition from fire looks fine, blah, blah, blah. And when he lights up like one part of his body, it looks cool when it moves around. But at one point, it got like really close up face when he was like all on fire, and it just looked like they had like turned up the saturation on his head and put like a red filter over his face. That looked a bit weird, but the Thing looked great. I loved the Thing. Weirdly, they didn't give the Thing as much spotlight as I thought they would. But people are always like the thing, like Ben Grimm. Thought they were really gonna, because they usually focus in on him not liking the way he looks because he's a big rock monster, but they really didn't do that as much, which I'm not, I don't hate. And then Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, I actually believed it. It was a refreshing role for Pedro Pascal because he seems to always play, I don't know, in the stuff I've seen him in, he always plays like the confident man. But in this one, he's confident in his ability of his smarts, but he always is doubting himself. That's why he's always thinking of every possible outcome, because he knows, he feels, you can just tell in everything he tries to do in his life, he really takes into consideration that he thinks he already failed once in them going to space because they all got their powers. He feels that, you feel that weight when you watch him, that he has this guilt for what happened, but he's always trying to prove that he is still trustworthy, if that makes sense. And I feel like they definitely, that's why I'm glad they've started it as them already being a team for 4 years, because you can already assume, okay, they have that established trust. We don't necessarily, it's implied. We don't need to show it. And they do show it in like their beginning with flashes of their missions and stuff, but they don't need to show it. Anyway, I still think it was a good movie. I recommend you see it. But yeah, I'm still worried about Doctor Doom, but only time will tell what happens with that. I think it'd be really funny if I'm gonna call it right now, it'd be really funny if they just never show his face. Like it's Robert Downey Jr. doing the performance, like voice wise, but they just never show his face. Or it's like a fake out where they, like he takes off his mask and it's like, oh my gosh, you're Tony. And then he like takes it off and he's like double masked underneath or something. And it's not actually Robert Downey Jr. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway. Bye. Have a good day. See ya.